People are relocated to an unknown planet, but a year later only 2 people remain among them.
Something funny down there, Skipper.
At the end of the 21st century, humanity lands on the moon and then invents a hyperdrive that allows them to colonize remote corners of space. The United Planets Organization sends one of the ships on a journey to the planet Altair, where the first stellar expedition landed 20 years ago. However, something went wrong then. Communication was lost, and the crew members never returned to Earth. The purpose of the new mission was to solve the mystery and help in colonization. The planet Altair turned out to be similar to Earth. The atmosphere and gravity are suitable for human life. The ship conducts an orbital overflight, but no signs of civilization are visible. Suddenly, the ship's radar detects a signal, and a man's voice is heard in the control room, who introduces himself as Edward Morbius, a member of the first expedition. The appearance of the voice indicates that the expedition is not lost, and this pleases the crew. However, Morbius rudely orders the ship to leave the planet and warns of the dangers waiting there. Despite the warnings, the ship's commander decides to disembark anyway. The doctor agrees and gives the landing area. The ship leads to Earth in a deserted area of the planet. People get out of the ship and marvel at the sky color and unusual landscape. But then a cloud of sand rises in the distance and the starship is approached by a cart with a robot driver who introduces himself as Robbie and very kindly invites people to visit his master. The 3 Earthlings accept the invitation and go to the doctor's house. They are struck by the magnificent structure and the luxurious decoration inside. On the threshold, the people are met by the doctor himself. The captain introduces him to his assistant, Farman, and the Dr. Ostrow. Morbius invites the men to a lunch prepared by the Rogue, and then shows them exactly how the robot synthesizes human food from the samples it has received. The doctor also has a waste disposer, causing utter delight. This is also where the doctor demonstrates Robbie's submission to any of his antics. The only thing he can't do is harm a human being. As proof, the doctor asks the captain to give Robert his blaster and orders him to shoot the man, but the robot immediately shuts down. Morbius withdraws the order or else Robbie will just burn up. He then shows the defenses of his house, which he installed before he realized he was perfectly safe here. So, he convinces the crew that he's comfortable and not threatened by anything, so people can leave him alone and go back to Earth. He tells us that the rest of their expedition was literally torn apart by some invisible planetary force, and their ship vaporized when the last survivor tried to take off. Only Morbius and his wife somehow remained immune, except that the woman died of natural causes, and over the years Morbius has felt the presence of this force somewhere nearby, though it doesn't bother him. At this moment, a very beautiful girl comes out to the guests, who turns out to be the doctor's daughter Altera, whom he simply calls Alta. Naturally, this causes increased interest in men who have not seen women for a long time. The girl is very direct, because she has never seen young men. The captain's assistant immediately starts courting Alta. The father says that they will have to fly to Earth someday for the sake of his daughter's future. The man doubts her complete freedom here on Altair, but the girl does not understand what they mean. After all, she has a father and friends. She blows a whistle to prove it, and roe deer come into the clearing, followed by a real tiger acting like a kitten. The doctor again insists on their flying away, but the captain cites circumstances. He must get the orders of the land. True, due to a small breakdown, the ship has no communications yet, and then Morbius volunteers to supply the Earthlings with the necessary materials that will greatly speed up the repair. The captain thanks for the courtesy, and the doctor points out the grave of his colleagues. He does not want to dig the same for Adams and his men. The next day, a car arrives at the ship with Robbie and Alta. The robot has brought the promised plates, and while he is unloading them, Adam's assistant talks to Alta. Seeing that the robot has been freed, the expedition's cook takes him behind the nearest rocks and asks him to reproduce some alcohol for him. Robbie gets a sample and wonders if 60 gallons is enough, which drives the guy into delight. Meanwhile, Farman tries to teach Alta the art of kissing, but the girl feels absolutely nothing and doesn't understand what's good about it. They are caught by Adams and sending the assistant away, criticizes Altera for naivety and wearing revealing clothes that make her too attractive. The girl is angry and complains to her father about the captain's rudeness, and he sends her to bed. But the girl calls Robbie to her and asks him to make her a new dress, more modest. This night, the ship is guarded by 2 men on duty. They hear strange noises, but see no one, although the doors open by themselves. In the morning, it turns out that an unseen intruder has disabled valuable equipment aboard the starship, and now the flight will have to be postponed again. Adams orders a circular defense to be activated, and he and Ostrow go to Morbius' residence to discuss the invasion. But the doctor is busy, and Robbie asks him to wait. While waiting, the captain accidentally sees Altera floating. After she puts on a new, less revealing dress, Adams apologizes for his behavior towards her and kisses her. But then they are suddenly attacked by Alta's tame tiger, and Adams is forced to destroy it with his blaster. The girl comes to wonder what happened to her beast. The captain hurries to the house and, despite the prohibition, they enter Morbius's study, which turns out to be empty. The men find strange papers with incomprehensible hieroglyphics. When the doctor enters the office through a secret door and thinks it is time to explain everything and begins the story. In long ago times, this planet was home to a powerful and highly advanced race of Krell. When they had curbed all the dangers on their planet, they wanted to go into space. That's when they visited Earth and brought back DNA samples of Earth's animals. But suddenly, this great nation died literally overnight. Their skyscrapers collapsed and nothing was left of the once powerful race. No one even knows what they looked like. The doctor takes them to a secret lab where he demonstrates a device that amplifies intelligence many times over. Morbius used it, after which he barely survived, but his intelligence doubled. And then he demonstrates a machine that can be used to recreate any creature living in the creator's brain. The Earthlings are delighted with the machine, and Ostrow wants to repeat the doctor's act, but the latter warns him of the danger and tells him that Krell's machines are self-maintaining and self-replicating, so completely. And then he puts the men in a shuttle car and takes them to a huge underground energy machine that is still functioning and powered by 9,200 fusion reactors working together. Meanwhile, a force field is established around the ship and the men begin to feel at ease. The cook asks permission to look for wild plants to diversify their diet, and finds a huge pile of alcohol Robbie made for him. And the military suddenly sees the fence shorting out from something or someone trying to break through. But things calm down, and no one notices the huge footprints leading inside the ship, from where a scream is soon heard. Meanwhile, Adams says that Morbius should share these discoveries with Earth, but the man explains that humanity is not yet ready to gain such limitless power. But then the captain is informed of the engineer's death, and he rushes to the ship. Adams, who has returned to the ship, is shown a cast with a huge paw of invisible substance, which by all laws of nature cannot even exist. The crew is burying the dead man when Dr. Morbius and Alta arrive. He again warns of his premonition of further deadly attacks, and in the night the invisible intruder returns. He gets caught in the force field and becomes visible by the delineated energy of the defense screen. The team opens fire with all phasers, but to no avail. The monster kills Farman and 2 other crew members. While in Morbius's house, he is awakened by the screams of the Altera, and when the man awakens, the monster suddenly disappears. The girl complains to her father, and the latter reassures Alta he will be able to protect her. Meanwhile, Ostrow again convinces the captain that the existence of such an organism contradicts all the laws of nature, and Adams orders to prepare the evacuation of Morbius and Alta, because according to the charter, he cannot leave civilians in danger. A reminder of the fate of the first ship. Adams decides that one of them is going to have to sneak into the lab and increase their intelligence. He gives the order to take off at the slightest danger, and he and Ostrow go to the Morbius, but on the doorstep stands Robbie, who has received orders not to let anyone in. This order is cancelled by Alta, whom Adams tells about what happened, and while he tries to convince her to leave, Ostrow manages to sneak into the laboratory and use the intelligence amplifier, for which he pays with his life. Before his demise, the man manages to reveal that the Krell machine can create anything with a single thought. True, the Krells forgot one more thing: monsters from the ID. Morbius enters furious. How could Ostrow decide that his brains could withstand the power of the Krell's intelligence? Alta, seeing her father like this, makes a choice and agrees to fly with Adams. The doctor himself tells us that ID is an outdated term, the basics of the subconscious state of the brain. It turns out that the monsters came from the subconscious, and that's what destroyed the Krell civilization. They simply forgot about the subconscious passion for destruction and killing. Their beasts are released and start slaying everyone they meet, and the monster that attacked the ship came from Morbius' subconscious, but he refuses to believe it until his home is attacked by an invisible creature that shatters the defenses. The doctor, Alta, and Adams hide in the lab, and the captain provides clear evidence that it was Morbius' subconscious mind that straightened out his expedition after he boosted his intelligence, but he didn't bother to learn how to control his new powers. And when he saw the new ship, he was simply terrified that he would lose all power, and his subconscious went out again. The door melts under the monster's blows as Alta asks her father to help them escape destruction. Morbius accepts the truth, confronts his rage, and renounces him. The monster disappears, leaving Morbius mortally wounded. Lastly, he orders Adams to activate the planetary self-destruct system, warning that the ship must be far away in deep space, and dies. From a safe distance, Adams, Alta, Robbie, and the crew watch Altair's destruction. Adams assures the girl that in about 1,000,000 years, the human race will be like the Krell, and her father's name will be known to all, and humans will remember that they are not gods after all. They embrace as their ship sets course for Earth. Very interesting old space fiction. Write in the comments what you think about it.